Hello everyone, Hector Mendoza here. In this video I'm going to go over some utilities. I'm actually going and doing them individually. So if you look here to the left, you'll see system utilities, window layouts, input output, file management, and advanced. They're Microsoft calls them modules. They're more like utilities, but that's what they're calling them. And before you can use them, you have to install them. It's a free install by Microsoft, and there's some real good utilities. I've actually have paid for similar utilities that didn't do as much, and I spend probably a few $100s a year because I use a computer a lot. So what you would have to do if you haven't installed this, go to Microsoft.com, just type Microsoft.com and it should take you to this page here. And so this is what the page is going to look like, the home page of Microsoft. Right here on the right hand side you should see a search engine. If you click here, just type Power, P-O-W-E-R, Toys, T-O-Y-S, and hit enter. Then you're going to get this stuff here, right? It's a bunch of utilities. The one that you want to install, if you haven't installed it, is the Microsoft PowerToys. So you would click here. I'm using English, so I think there might be other languages, but let's say go to English. You would download it. Then up here you would see a download appear, a little folder. You would click on that. Then you would install it. It'll take you about 5 to 10 minutes. Once it's installed, then what you would do is go to your start and then just type Power Tools, P-O-W-E-R-T-O-Y-S, Toys. Now mine is already pinned here to the taskbar, but let me go ahead and unpin it for you. And then, so if you notice, I got a bunch of them, so you see it's not in here. So if I go in here, right click, I can pin to toolbar. Then if you don't have this many programs, you'll see it right in here. Otherwise you have to use this thing and get additional apps. So this is the app that I'm talking about, or utility. They call them modules. So once you sorry about that. Once you install this, now you're going to have all of this utilities, okay, or modules. But in each one of them, you're going to have to make sure that they are on, as far as enable or disable. If you're not going to use it, don't enable it. If there's stuff that you're not going to use, just keep it off. So now I have a bunch of videos out there already, and I explain the same thing about this, so you can skip it on the next one and then just go straight to the explanation of the modules. Alright, so now let me explain, or let me show you some of the tools. So in this video, under the file management tab, we're going to talk about PowerRename. So you can go to a folder and you can select as many images So if you notice, these are photographs. You can select whatever you want, or you can hit Control A and select everything. So let's hit Control A, and that's selecting all the photographs, which is 122 of them. You can right click. If you're using, I know at least if you're using system 10 and 11, you can do this. You will, sometimes you might not see it in this area here, right in here, but if you see show more options, if you click there, then you're gonna get additional things that you can do, and you're gonna see this thing called rename. You might not have to expand it like I did, because you might not have everything that I have. I have a bunch of stuff in my computer, but nevertheless, if you hit rename, now you see only one of them being selected. So let's say that you want to name this like today, okay, 09/22/2025, and you call it, let's say Dallas TWIA, which is TWIA deployment, and just hit enter. You see it renamed every single one of those photographs. And if you hit, you know, by name, then you'll notice that so this was a Word document, and it kept the DOCX. This was a JPEG, and it named it number 1. You see 3 number 1s, but because under the Word document there was more than one Word document, and it labeled the first one number 1, labeled the second one number 2. Equally, you had maybe 2 PDFs. It named the first one number 1 and the second one number 2. As far as the photographs, or you know, pictures, it started naming them number 1, number 2, number 3, and so forth. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Then and then you can hit Control Z, and then it gives you the option to undo what you did. Don't think you can do it 2 or 3 times and do it. I believe that you only have 1. I might be wrong. Okay. Or you can select just the photographs, okay, the ones that you want. For instance, let's do something. Let's go in here, and remember, this is not part of what I'm about to teach you. You know, what I really wanted to teach you is going to be PowerRename under the PowerToys from Microsoft, and you saw the beginning of it, how to install it and so forth. But without having to use that particular module or utility, whatever you want to call it, you can actually do it like this. Now watch what you can do with any one of those two. But for instance, you see when I go to a deployment, I have a little card that say right. It can be right elevation or right slope and so forth. So everything preceding this little tag that I have, I would select everything. I would right click, I would show more, and then I would rename, and then that I would just call it front elevation, and then it would numerically put the names on there, JPEG 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in the order that I took those. So now that's everybody, at least I know that in System 10 and System 11 has that function. I'm going to hit, and so I could go to the roof. You see, I got right elevation. I would do the same thing. No, excuse me, right slope. I would click here, right click, but before I do that, I want to hit Control Z, because I want to make sure that we send that back to the original name. Now that I've told you that, let me tell you about the tool that I'm going to talk to you about. It's called PowerRename, the utilities that you install, and it's under the PowerToys. Alright, so we're going to open up a folder, excuse me, and I like viewing it like this. Okay, so if you select a certain amount, select all, same thing like earlier, I can right click. Now you're going to have this thing called rename with PowerRename. Okay, so I'm going to go over every one of these things, because you have things here, you have things here, you got these things here that I'll explain what every one of them do. But I know and then you got, if you click here, it's going to go to the website. Excuse me, not here, but if you click here, it'll go right directly to the website. And then here are some of the settings. We're not going to go over too much of the settings. I will show you about this. But before I make this into a long video, I'm going to show you the basics. And if you want to continue, then you can continue, because the continuation of this are for people that are geeks. You know, some of us just love weird stuff, and some of this stuff is weird, and there's a lot of functions. There might be some functions you like, but at least watch the first part, and then if you want to continue, then you can watch the rest of the video. Alright, so let's go back to this preview, and let's make sure that we have all the front elevations. Okay, so from here to here is front elevations. From here until the next one is right elevation. So we're going to talk about the front elevations. Okay, so remember, you can view it this way or you can view it this way. Let's view it this way for right now. Either way, it's the same thing. I'm going to right click. We're going to go to rename with PowerRename. So I have this little it's a period with an asterisk, right? And so kind of remember that, because so let me click out of here, and then I'm gonna deselect this right here. And remember, we're gonna go over what all this stuff is. You gotta really understand. But let's say if you just want to use the basics, just click here, and then use this little command. It's not a command. They're called regx. Okay, they're commands basically. Okay, so and then you can click here, and it tells you your regx. Okay, and then if you click here, it's going to tell you what that word means and how to use it. Okay, so so the easiest one, to make it simple, let's say you want to replace the IMG, the number, because they're in sequential order, and the type of file it is, you know. So if you didn't use this period and asterisk, which is Shift 8 is your asterisk, then so let me rename this. Well, actually that's what I wanted, front elevation. Okay, so at this point, whatever I select, it's going to name it, regardless that it has a prefix, underline, and the name, it's gonna re it's gonna select what I selected and rename it to front elevation. But when I hit front elevation, it's gonna put number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and so forth in the order that I selected. Okay, so just leave everything the way it is. If that's all you're looking for, just leave everything the way it is. You know, just make sure that it says file name and extension. Don't worry about the text formatting and the time used to replace. You know, we're not gonna do none of that. The only time you're gonna deal with some of this stuff if we start getting into the replace terms help. Okay, okay. So if you would just click on that, hit use regular expressions, which that's what this thing is, the regx. Then if you look to the left hand side right here of what we're going to replace, you see the name, and this is what is going to replace it. Remember, we didn't tell it anything about if it's a JPEG and so forth. It will automatically change that. So look, I'm going to hit apply so you can see it. Let's close out of here. You see, oh, actually I take that back. It did not put the here. Let me view this. Okay, it took the JPEG and all that stuff, right? So let's hit Control Z. Okay, so let's go back to it, and I'm just going to select anything, and let's go to right click. Let's go to name, rename with PowerName. Okay, so the reason it did that is because you see right here, file and extension. We're telling this is the field that we're selecting. This is what we want to replace it with. We're using regular expression, but apply to, we only want file only. Okay, now this is the original name. This is the rename, front elevation JPEG, and of course it's gonna go numerically edit. So let's tell it how it was before. File name and extension. Look down here. Here, one of my commands is not working. So it has file elevation, a front elevation, because we told it to apply to. Okay, so we're going to tell it file name only. Now let's say that you wanted to keep the file name and you just want to change the extension. You tell it extension only. Look what it says now, img 0_007.front. The program, you know, it wouldn't know how to open it, so you definitely would want to just hit file name. That's the simplest way to do a find and replace using this module or extension, whatever you want to call it. All right, so if you're hanging in here, you really want to know a lot more about this utility. So I'll you know, just to make sure that you want to continue, let me show you what some of this stuff does. Okay, so let's erase this expression. Okay, basically they're like commands. Okay, so now, okay, so right here we have the original. Here is what is going to rename it, but right now we don't have nothing selected, even though we have the image is selected, we haven't told it a criteria what we want to rename and replace. For instance, if I tell it to look, oh, there it goes. I want to replace the IMGs, which is part of this photographs, but I'm okay with those numbers and that underscore. I would go in here and I would just type IMG. Now, mine are lowercase and these are uppercase. The reason is because I'm not telling to be case sensitive. Watch what happens right here. Right here. It's telling me that I'm going to replace it because I told it to select IMG. But if I told it, you know what? It has to be case sensitive. If people don't know what case sensitive means, it means that a word, let's say THE with a capital T, the capital has to be capitalized. If the other one, or for instance, IMG, I got lowercase. But if I tell it case sensitive, look, it's not replacing anything because it's case sensitive. Now, this is just one of the examples. You know, let's say I want to get rid of that underscore, you know, I could put underscore and look. Now it's front, elevation. There's no space in between the number. And now I could go in here and add a space and all of a sudden it put a space. Now, again, this is just a little bit about what I'm going to explain because we're going to talk about all of this. Replace using file creation date and time. And, you know, it takes a little bit of time to explain this, unless if if you're good with expressions and things of that nature. In addition to that, when we start talking about replacing with, there's going to be, we can replace with dates, times, date, let's say the date, okay, let's start with the time, the date, the month, the year, in the order that you want. You can put it in numbers, you can put it in words, you can put it in all kinds of stuff because you would go through this stuff with strings, okay? And you would tell the machine what you want. Now, one thing you would have to keep in mind that you have creation date, you got modified time, and then excess time. Don't let this creation time mislead you. It's not the date that the file was created. Like for instance, let's say I ran a drone, let's say January 1st of 2021, and then I click, and then so I didn't do nothing with this file, and all of a sudden I grab a bunch of those photographs, put it into a different folder, and copied it. Like for instance, I create a new folder, okay, and then let's say this was, I had created this previously, and I copy just with a command, and now all of a sudden I copied it into here. Well, this is the creation date, but technically it's a modified date because it's not the date of the creation of it, it's the date that I copied over to a new folder. Okay, so I just don't want you to think, oh wow, cool man, I'm going to use this creation date and my file is going to say like for instance, in all my stuff that I do, let's go to Control E to Explorer, let's go to one of my folders. If you notice, and let's go by name, you see at the beginning of it I put 03/28/2025. Well, that was the date that I created that file. And this is similar to the military, how how you create folders and pick names and things of that nature. I'm military, so now mine's a little bit different than theirs because they go by date, month, and day. I do date, month, and year. But that's how I keep track of events and where I've been in the world, because I fly my drone all over the United States and South America. So that's how I keep my. I know I can look at a folder and tell you, oh wow, July the 16th, 2025. I took my level 2 certification and blah blah blah. Anyway, so I told you, man, I'll start talking. But anyway, so then we're going to talk about what this means, what this means, what this means. That way you have an idea. Remember, you're getting into the nitty gritties of this PowerRename. They call it module. I call it utility. Well, so far I haven't lost you. So you want more punishment? Okay, we can give you more punishment. So let me let me go here and let's start from the beginning. Okay, so let's delete this. Okay, so we don't have nothing here. So this is the name, original name. Now let's start with use regular expression. And so remember, if I type img, it really, what it's going to do is find img and replaces it with nothing, because I didn't tell it to replace with nothing here. Okay, so now look right here. If I type today, all of a sudden it put it at the beginning. It's replacing img with today, but the underscore and the name stays the same. Okay, now let's say I want to get rid of that underscore. I click here, put underscore, and I'm missing it here. Now I don't have that underscore, but let's say here I don't want an underscore, I want a space. Now look down here, I got a space. Alright, so this is a simple way. Now, so you can also go in here and, so let's delete this. Now we're gonna go here. These are your reg ex, let's say, commands basically. Okay, so basically, let's say at the beginning of the file. Now I'm not searching and replacing, I'm not doing none of that stuff. All I want to do is add something to it, and there's a lot of stuff you can do. So we're just going to go over a bunch of them, and then you can go in here and start playing. So we'll play with the first and second one. Otherwise I could turn this into a 2-hour lesson or an hour lesson. We're not going to do that. Okay, I won't put you to do that. So let's hit start. So that's a shift 6 will give you this icon. So if I went in here, I could hit shift 6. It gives me that icon. What is that telling me? At the beginning of the file, I want whatever I put here. Look, time, space, and then the rest. Time, space, img, whatever that file was named. Okay, now let's go in here and let's put a $sign. or let's say that you don't know how to get to that character. There's a character for it, I can't remember it. Let's click. Okay, let's delete it. Okay, so you don't know that character. You don't know that it's Shift 6. You click here. You just click on that, and boom, it inserted it for you. Same thing. Now, that's at the beginning. What happens if you want it at the end? How about if you hit Shift 4, which is a $, and look what it did. It put that word today at the end. And then there's a space after today. So you got this file, there's a space before the period, which, you know, you don't want a space before what if it's a JPEG or RGB or you know, Word, Excel, whatever. You don't want a space there. Okay. There's no space between the number and today. So what you do is you go down here, put a space, and all of a sudden you have a space before today. Okay. Now, why would you want to keep this name? What happens if your client recognizes that photograph by his naming, the way he names things? Okay, so you keep his name, but you add something you can easily recognize that photograph. One thing. Okay, so let me see what other little features. Okay, so remember that period is matched by character. In other words, you delete this and you put a period, all it's going to do is look at characters and not characters. So it's replacing everything, but it's putting it at the beginning, right? So so let's get out of that. So okay, so we're adding today at the beginning of it, and let's put a space. What it did, it found the first character, the I, and it replaced it with today. Now let's make it a period with an asterisk. What it did now is, look what it's doing. It's replacing all the characters, all the underscores, and all the numbers, and it just replaced it with whatever you decided to put in there. Okay, see? Because I told it period asterisk, and I did that based on what this stuff tells me to do. You can match one or more of the preceding tokens. You can tell it a non-digital short for from 0 to 9 and so forth. Like for instance, just for grins. Okay, so let's do a 1 digit. Okay, let's forget about what I just did, and let's say IMG underscore. Okay, right now I got 0227. I want to replace that 0. So, you know, what I want to do is put a backslash D. Okay, so if I put backslash D, now look what happened. I got 0227. Now I told it forget about that first character in the string of naming. it deleted the 0227 and it replaced it to 227. Instead of 0227, now it's 227. So let's say, okay, well, you know what? I don't want the first two digits. So \D. Now, instead of 0227, now it's going to be 227. Okay? So we won't go over too much of this. That's getting into real some weird stuff. But just go over this and play with it, and you'll you know, there might be something you like in there. Now, so now you know what this is. This helps you do your Rex X equations. I call them equations. I don't know what they're really called. They're expressions. But anyway, okay. So let's forget about it. Expressions. Now, so check this out. Let me rename this real quick here on this one here. I don't want to mess with this. So now let's put at the end of them, let's put IMG. Okay, at the end of each one of them, I'm going to put that Control C. Oh, no, I can't do that. Okay, so I need to put it in between the dot. Okay, IMG, and let's select that. Control C, and let's put that in each one of these things. Control V. Not too many of them. Let's not get. We can turn this into a long. Okay, so now we're going to select those. We're going to right click. We're going to go to rename, rename, right? Now here I'm going to tell it IMG. So look what it did. Okay, remember, it's not looking for characters, it's just looking for IMG. Down here I have IMG here, but I also have it here. It's replacing it with only one of the IMGs. Okay, it didn't replace the end one, it just replaced it with the front one. Okay, so because I told it give me a second here, because I told it use regular expression. Okay, now let's match all occurrence. Anytime it says this word or characters, IMG is going to replace it. Remember, here it kept it because it's only doing the first occurrence. Okay, now let's click out of here. Let's click here. Now I told it match all occurrence. So I have IMG here, IMG here, because I told it to replace it. Look what it did. It replaced front elevation, which is what I told it, and front elevation at the end. It replaced all occurrence. Let's say, okay, the IMG, I don't want nothing there, so I'm going to delete, and what happens now? I don't have it here because I told every time it says IMG, match all occurrence with nothing. That's what it did. Now if I delete the front elevation from here because I got match all occurrence and I told it to replace with nothing at the beginning and at the end, which is there at the beginning at the end, it no longer replaced it. So I know we already talked about this, but I told you I would go over almost everything in this power rename. So we've already talked about this. We talked about all occurrence. Let's talk about case sensitive. Okay, so, and you can combine all this stuff. Now you're getting real technical, but let's go with case sensitive. I got IMG. If I type lowercase img, you see nothing's being replaced here, so let's say replace. So here's the original, here's rename, img, case sensitive. Those are all uppercase, this is lowercase. Let's put uppercase img. Is going to replace img0. The img is being replaced with replace. It kept the underscore and the numbers, np JPEG, because I told it file and extension. Okay, so that's that. So hopefully it's obvious what this is. This is replace. That's what you're going to replace. Now let's, and we're not going to get too deep into it, but let's say remember earlier we were talking about using regular expressions, and then we wanted something at the start of the file, and here I can go in there and let's say we talked about military times and dates and stuff. So so I told you what I do. First thing I do is I can put the name of the month. If that's easier for you to remember, instead of 02, let's say the name of the month. You see, September. And then it has new folder, because that was what I was gonna put in there, right? And so let's put a space. Not, excuse me, img00. This is just the supplement, a new folder. So it's September space img underscore 2227. September was placed at the beginning with a space because I put this. Now let's go in here and put a date. So now we got date. You want to call it the day of the month or a character in zeros. So let's just say we don't want the day, we just want date. Okay, and now let's look down here. Today I remember I copied this today, even though it's not today's the creation date, because I copied it to a new folder today. Okay, so today's date is September 22nd. There's no space on the before the img. I go in here, hit a space. Now, so technically what I want to do is put a comma, space. We go in here, and now we're going to put the year. You can do it in all 4 digits, 2 digits. Okay, so let's say all 4 digits, 2025. We're going to click here, and now look, September 22nd, 2025, no space, no space, img underscore. Okay, but I want a space before I put that name. That's what this stuff is. Okay, so now you can apply it to a file name. You can apply it to extension only. So remember, it's 0mg_227.jpg. Watch what happens if I go in here and tell it extension only. Well, I do not know. Okay, extension only. It didn't change. It didn't change the extension. But anyway, so let's go and file an extension. You know, we're good. Okay, so when you're renaming this stuff, September is upper and lowercase. Okay, you say, you know what? I want it all in uppercase. Now it's all uppercase. I want it upper and lowercase. I click here. It's upper and lowercase. That's what this is. Oh, one thing I forgot to explain something. This includes the files that you have selected. You click here, it includes everything in that folder. If you had subfolders, you would click here and it would include everything. Okay, so now we're down to this. Wow, this didn't take as long as I thought. I want to be honest, I don't know what these two things are, so I guess call me a dummy, but I don't know what those are. Okay, so time used to replace. The date and time that you copied from one folder to the other is how it's going to identify by this date. You could manually just say 09 slash 20, no slash, you can't use slash because it's you know, it's a program. Okay, underscore 22 underscore 2025 space, or you could type it. So there's another way you can do it if you didn't want to use this stuff here. Okay, so but using it here is gonna grab the data from the photo that you have. So you copied it today, but you know you didn't create it in August 22. You actually did it in January. Let's say JAN the 1st, comma 2025. So you could do it that way. But this will allow you to do creation time, modified time, and access time. Okay, last thing we're going to talk about this, and then you can go do whatever you got to do. Right here, if you click here, it's going to give you settings that you can do. It went to the administrative PowerToys settings. Okay, so you're able to change this stuff here. Same thing, if you click in the question mark, it went to what that's going to do is going to take you to the website. Okay, so let me see if I close again, because it was in a different folder, and I click here, boom, it goes to the Microsoft website, Windows, and it talks about Power Tools. So everything I was teaching you, hopefully, is probably here. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it does talk about it. Probably better than what I did. I know it would, because I don't, they're a lot smarter than I am. But it talks about everything there. So if my instructions are not good, then just go here. They'll be able to teach you a lot better than I can teach you. Thank you for watching my video. If you do like my video, give me a thumbs up. I don't know if I explained it earlier, but I actually am going in and explaining every one of those tools under the Microsoft PowerToys. They're cool, man. You have all this weird stuff that you can do. I used to pay subscriptions for some of the stuff that I can do here, and this stuff is even better than the subscriptions that I was paying for. Again, my name is Hector Mendoza. I hope you like this video, and I will see you on the next video.